Hi, crowd. Greetings from Munich in Germany to Vietnam. It's exciting to see so many people in the room, and I want to say thank you for coming, and again, hi from the Parity crew. I'd like to share, I know, 15, kind of 20 minutes, a little bit about our vision here at Parity for marketing and growth of Polkadot worldwide. And I know you have lots of interesting speakers today, so I won't take long, but I think there's some very interesting developments I'd like to talk about. Okay. So it's all about marketing and growth for Polkadot. But before we go there, I want to share a couple of observations. And I always want to start with, where are we with Polkadot? What is the momentum? What is the growth we're seeing already? And if you look back the last 12 months, or since the Parity chain launched beginning of last year, we see an incredible momentum for Polkadot. And we look at it at four areas, basically. Number one, at developers. So that is the key metric that tells us about the interest of developers and how much is being built in the ecosystem. And Polkadot, not only now, but for us quite some time, has been at the top one, or at least the top three positions in terms of developer activity. Right after Ethereum, of course, but advance of anybody else. So we see no sign of decline. Instead, is growing. So strong signal of engagement and people really caring about Polkadot, investing time and effort to build out this network. Parachains, this is the main kind of things. App chains, parachains, on the relay chain. The offering became available just 18 months ago. And today we look at across Kusama and Polkadot, 82 parachains being live now, producing block space. And even more than just having all these chains live, what's happening now is what we're seeing through the interoperability, the magic happens. And when we say magic, we mean the network effects, because we have these channels and these messages between those parachains and the app networks, and people start using each other's functionalities and capabilities. And that creates a compounding effect that no other ecosystem is offering, and a huge advantage for builders. And I'm going to talk later more about what that means. User base. So now, as we have the parachains on which now applications, end user applications are being built, we see now in the next wave, applications coming on board and users coming on board. And the exciting thing is enterprises or Web2 companies with installed and existing large user bases and interesting use cases are coming on board. So we have Heathrow Airport for a luggage tracking system, right? Which of course is interesting for the millions of passengers. We have MeWe with 10 million social media users coming on Polkadot onboarding as we speak right now. And Mythical, a huge Web3 native gaming company with more live gamers than the entirety of Ethereum coming on Polkadot. These are large packets of users coming to Polkadot right now or in the next month, which will explode the number of users. Looking at users themselves, before that even happens from enterprise, we see a great traction there as well. We have 80% year-over-year growth of active users. We have nearly tripling the growth of monthly fee-paying transactions. And you see all the other numbers in terms of people actively participating in the network by bonding, holding dots, or joining the nomination pools. So the question is now is, fantastic, here we are, we see the momentum. How can we even accelerate the momentum and keep growing? Before we talk about that, it's important to look at, when we say Polkadot, what do we actually mean? And there's a bit of a discussion. Okay, in the past, most people refer to it as just a relay chain or the sharded protocol, so a very technical term. But now looking at what's really happening, what Polkadot has evolved into, and I'm not just talking about the base technologies that Parity and key contributors built on the core platform and the core technology. I'm talking about the parachains, the ecosystem of applications, the users, the tools, the wallets, and the DEXs, and all that coming together. It's creating a much bigger thing right now. So it consists of basically three core pillars, right? So on the one hand, we have built a fantastic, great community, and all of you in the room here is just, evidence of that, right? We have had as Decoded, we had nearly 1,000 people in Copenhagen traveling around the world to attend the meeting live. We had thousands of people joining online, watching videos and following us. So a huge, thriving, very active community, and one of the most active and engaged communities, I'd say, in the Web3 space. Then we have the technology stack, all the technologies, not just the relay chain, but all the parachains, all of it working together, which we now label as block space ecosystem. And then, of course, we have the dot as a software piece, as a means to engage in governance, in voting, in supporting the network. So those things together is what Polkadot consists of in terms of pillars. So if you think in terms of growth now, we need to think first about personas. Personas is a marketing language. It means, okay, who do we want to attract when we say growth, right? And we have different kind of people and projects, right? So first of all, at the end of the day, this success is defined by the number of end users using applications built on Polkadot, which translate into transaction, active users, and all that. That is the, if you like, the final goal that is a measurement of success. We all know this is a journey, and the whole Web3 space is working towards that. But we also need supporters, people who engage in the platform to vote, to participate in governance, actively contributing to the discussion, or being ambassadors. So people who just are a little bit more than the users, which are more like consumers. We need people who are really engaged, not necessarily building, but people supporting the network, because it's a community thing. And then, of course, we have the builders, of which we have, I would say, the core builders, people who are the deep thinkers, the enthusiasts, the forward-looking people who think about how can we evolve the entire infrastructure of Polkadot. So they're more thinking about architectural things and core infrastructure and tooling. Then we have the founders of businesses, I'd say, of applications, of teams who want to disrupt a vertical, innovate on a certain market, and create a new experience for end users. Developers, sometimes they are founders, but sometimes they're just the people who are just building, who love building with this technology and be part of it and contributing to efforts. And then we have enterprises, as I said, coming over with existing user base who realize there's a change happening in the world. People switch to this new version of the web, of the internet, and see, okay, I cannot use my losers. I need to be on this, or I need to leverage as an opportunity. So we have all these personas, and there's an important statement I want to make. Polkadot, from our perspective, from my perspective, is vertical or industry agnostic. We have use cases from airports, DeFi, we have NFTs, of course, we have music, we have gaming, all of the tokenization of assets. So, I mean, the 50, 20 use cases, I think we have an extremely broad set of use cases. So we don't put a focus somewhere. Polkadot is here for the long run, and we want to cover the entire set of verticals. Now, this looks very complex. So can we make it a little bit simpler? And for marketing terms or how to grow it, I would just make it simple. Rule number one in marketing, keep it simple, and focus on two messages, basically. What is our message to end users? Why should they use Polkadot? Because we need to have a message for end users as well to support the adoption of Polkadot. I think we cannot just rely on all the applications which do their own marketing to their specific end user bases, but I think we need to have an Uber kind of message. Like Apple is known as a brand, right? And all the apps on the App Store, of course, have their own marketing, the branding, but they have this relation to Apple as a platform, as a kind of environment in which they strive and be accessible with lots of benefits for the end users. So while we try not to be Apple because it's very centralistic and monolithic and extracts a lot of value, we want to be the community version of it, if you like, to end users. And then we have the builders. So we need to keep attracting what I call builders, so developers, startup founders, enterprises, everybody who keeps building on all levels. And we need to have a message for them. So why building on Polkadot? Why on Polkadot and nowhere else? So those are the two pillars. Let me dive into the first one. So for end users, I think it starts with making people aware of the problems being solved. Of course, we will have cool, entertaining applications, right? We have a lot of gaming applications coming on board. We have social media tools and all that, and all on Web3, so on Polkadot, which is great, and this will attract users. But there's also an underlying truth we want to share and evangelize, which is we want to have a better world with a better web. And a better world needs a better web. So what do I mean by this? It is evangelizing the problem that Web3 is solving and going back to this true Web3 ethos. The current web isn't good. It does harm. And now it's time to switch to a new one. And what I'm talking about is the current web is highly decentralized, right? So I think 80% of all web traffic or web applications run on 3-4 major cloud application platforms. a lot of the value, economic value created, the monetization of value created in the internet right now is actually monopolized by a few, I'd say, compared to the number of users. Because the user is a product, we give away our data, we give away everything, and it's being monetized as an advertising target or with large margins in e-commerce. It's also known or scientifically proven that certain ways algorithms work on social media and other ways are having a negative societal health impact for young people. I mean, for teenagers, I have teenage daughters, so I see not that happening, but I'm very aware that there is a risk if you don't handle this the right way, and that the built-in algorithms are made to maximize monetization, but not necessarily to serve the user in a fair way. So we have insufficient privacy. I don't need to talk longer. Everybody knows that data is being hacked and shared. There's a possibility of censorship because it relies on a few instances and governance or entities that basically have a switch, an on and off switch, and go there. And we have little protection. So all that together, we need to make people aware that this is a situation where we might consider is an alternative. And this is where Polkadot comes into play. Polkadot is the alternative, offers an alternative for this. Because with Polkadot, what we are aiming for and why we are in here is we want users to take back control of their personal data and their privacy. They can share everything they want, but it's under their control. We want to have a fair, decentralized new digital economy. If you look at some of the apps and the use cases, like this tokenization of assets, I mean, the NFT economy and all that, or the DeFi space where you can just transfer just tokens and all that. This is basically taking back control also from an economic standpoint, so that the value that is generating economically is also being shared and benefiting many, many people. The new web in Polkadot is allowing for decentralized organizations. Polkadot itself is becoming a strong DAO with the governance and everything. We're fully transparent and we're community-led, the governance. So this is a infrastructure for a new version of the web, which is managed and kind of owned by the community, right? So it's all transparent. You can see it everywhere on the forums and in the governance structure, the fellowship. So we put a lot of effort into making sure that the community governs and owns Polkadot. It's highly secure, so security level applies to all the applications and parachains on the same level. There is no kind of weak spot in there. It's designed to be unstoppable. So there is no on-off switch that a government or somebody can go and just switch it off. It doesn't exist because it's carried and operated by a large group of thousands of people and institutions and devices, right? And it's censorship free. There is no institutional censorship. So this is the alternative. So once people are aware of the problem, aware of Polkadot as a brand, as an alternative, what's left is we need to promote the, in marketing speech, conversion points, but actually, okay, can I take action? I hear your message, okay, I like it, but what can I do as an end users? And here's what we need to promote now. Not so much the technology as we did in the past, but really like now it's time to start promoting the applications and the app chains that are being built. We have exciting use cases coming on board, and we've put a lot of effort in promoting them under their own brand, of course, but in their relation as part of the Polkadot ecosystem. We have decentralized digital identity vendors, right? We have many fantastic wallets. We have the opportunity for people to hold and stake DOT and be part of it, right? To delegate or vote themselves, right? Or become an ambassador and promote it. So there's so many ways to be an active member of this new community-owned internet and take it in our hands. I think just we need to be very vocal and very loud about this. Let's go over to the builders. So what is our message for the builders? And in the past, I think Polkadot or the teams have talked a lot about deep technology, kind of how the thing works, right? The mechanics, and it's very complex. We are now at a point where we want to switch it more towards, okay, can we start with what value it generates? What is the benefit, the value proposition for builders? Why should you even consider building for Polkadot? And here's more, so a founder or a team considers a couple of things. So, okay, how quickly can I get to market, right? How can Polkadot help me as a builder to quickly deploy my project? And here comes, of course, the specific capabilities of Polkadot as a blockchain ecosystem, block space ecosystem. You can fully leverage pre-built capabilities because of the interoperability and because it's all connected. You can leverage applications and capabilities from many projects that exist already in the ecosystem. And this is very unique to Polkadot. A lot of core functionality comes out of the box. Security validation, the whole relay chain is a service. A security as a service is a huge benefit that in other chains you have to build from scratch. There's a lot of economic freedom if you build a parent chain. I mean, you can choose to have your own tokenomics or choose to not have your own tokenomics. It's very predictable in terms of cost. You don't have these spikes, right? Suddenly a transaction costs like $50 gas fee. That doesn't exist here. It's very predictable, very stable. And we now start introducing in the next versions the on-demand pricing model that gives you even more flexibility, much lower cost. So the economic freedom and flexibility is unprecedented. It's the only ecosystem that has such a variation of design for your project, your economics. Highly efficient, so this block space allocation fit for purpose. There is no congestion which you have on other monochain architectures because we allocate the block space across many chains, and you can pick from many chains, and it's always fit for purpose. You can choose what you want to use. And of course, a high economic security given the relay chain and all the validators and the billions of dollar validation and staking behind is providing a fantastic, strong economic security foundation in the background. So these are the values. There are many more, but these are kind of the 4 pillars we would like to highlight. And then, of course, okay, tell me more how you do this, right? So the message to the builders also needs to be step back from this, sorry, stupid layer 0, layer 1, layer 2 roll-up kind of technical jargon, and take a step back and look at what Polkadot basically is. And it is a block chain, a block space ecosystem. And what I mean by that, it is the next step in the evolution of the Web3 technology stack. So don't think in single chains anymore or chains connected or here's a virtual machine or all that. Think of it as holistically in a higher level of abstraction of a technology stack that is connected. Think of it like a supercomputer. When in the Web 2 world, I mean, it used to be like servers, physical servers under your desk or in your kind of computing center, right? And you had your operating system or each server physically. The next iteration was cloud computing. So nowadays, many applications, Netflix, Facebook, all of them, they run on cloud computing. I mean, microservice architectures, right? So what we're building is a supercomputer which has a connected network of blockchains, each producing block space. So this kind of, right, the service that you actually need from a blockchain. And it's completely modular and completely cross-chain composable. What does that mean? That means, again, if you want to build a supply chain application, for example, right? A supply chain, like, okay, who delivers what to whom and how long does this item take time? You could use one parachain block space to handle identity verification. We have one parachain focusing on that. You can use another parachain service for the asset tokenization. You can use another one for the source traceability. You could use another one for decentralized storage and computing power. So you see where I'm going. It's like a supermarket of services that become available to you as a builder. So you don't need to build everything from scratch yourself. You can actually use existing models and put them together and add on top the code that differentiates you from others, and that is your core business kind of what that you want to build. And that is a complete paradigm shift in the way Web3 technology is being built, and only Polkadot offers that because the block space ecosystem, where the connectivity and the composability of all these functions by all these parachains is more than just sending a token from here to there or a message from here to there. It's much, the operability goes much deeper and is highly secured. So this is what I call the Web3 cloud supercomputer, right? And Gav referred to it in his keynote speak. So this is a reframing of how we want people to look at Polkadot as a holistic kind of block space ecosystem. So with that, I know we have only 15 minutes. I just wanted to kind of point out these 2 kind of main narratives and messages, how we approach different pockets of users and builders we would like to join Polkadot, and the incredible value Polkadot provides to both groups. And help continue the story and keep building it. So with that, some last comments maybe. The foundation is very strong. We have the largest community, strongest stage, great momentum. It's still early days. I mean, there are 5 billion internet users, and the whole Web3 space is only a tiny fraction. It's still a huge opportunity. We're still at the beginning. So there's huge opportunity to join this train, right? This high-speed train, to build, and this is what we focus on. We keep evangelizing Polkadot on all levels to continue the growth, to infrastructure builders, to people who want to build parachains, people who want to build apps, to the users using the apps, to people who want to support Polkadot, and show our commitment vision for Web3. So with that, I invite you to join this project, and thank you very much for your for your time. Let's make a difference. We are Polkadot. Thank you.